you received this on your seat. It's called Understanding Understanding. And what Saul has been up to is writing a new book. It's not like he's not written books before. You've had 87 books or something like that?
About that.
88 books? Is this your 88th book?
I don't know.
Get over it, in other words.
Get over, yeah.
Okay, shut up. This book is called Understanding Understanding. Think about it for a moment. Okay, you can talk now.
I would be remiss to talk without saying what an extraordinary few people we've just seen, not only the young people, but this idea of the opposite of ways of planning land, which is just one of those opposite things that I talk about all the time. Look at the land, not the development.
It's opposite.
It's an opposite.
Yes.
Simpler way to explain it, because people can just flip that. You know, Niels Bohr said that when he has a profound idea, he thinks that the opposite of it is also profound. And so that's interesting. And then the keynote speaker was just phenomenal, throwing your company into her work and to an extraordinary man. So it's been a wonderful afternoon. And it's late in the afternoon. And this is brief, and I will try to be very brief because I can talk, and Jack and I can talk for a very long
Forever.
time.
Yeah, all night sometimes.
I love Jack. I tend to love younger people, and
What do you mean by that?
we're 10 years apart, and last year we were going to celebrate our 150th birthday
Together.
but we didn't. I think I've made some changes in Jack's life, and Jack has made enormous changes in my life. Because I work alone, and I don't work for anybody, and I'm abrasively charming. So I'm not asked to do many things, but Jack gives me a hug and helps me get some things done. I'd like you to read this sometime. It takes about 90 seconds. I read some of it to Jack, and Jack said, finish it, write it as a little fairy tale, and we'll print it and give it to everybody. And then I decided I would make it the beginning of a book. And the book is going to be more than 1,000 pages. And the book precedes all the books I've done already in my lifetime. The first one I was 26, and I'm 81 now. And most of them were about kind of the rules, examples of how you understand things. And this new book is about the permission to everybody to idiosyncratically understand things the way and embrace that idiosyncratic human way each of us understands things. It sort of goes sideways, broadens it. Not to do away with the rigor, but to also open our arms up to explain things to others the way we think. He was asking me, do I have a clicker? I'm going to go through some slides but not talk about them. I'm just going to show you from 5 chapters of the book. The book has 75 chapters. Some illustrations from some friends of mine. I didn't show the words because you can't sit here and read words, but the book is mostly words. But this is some illustrations from friends of mine, and you'll see how different they are about how they go about understanding things. I'm going to tell one short story I told to Jack to begin with. The people back there are going to roll their eyes because they have time limits for some reason I don't quite understand. I never had a time clock at TED.
Ted, you were insistent on 17 minutes. That was the
But then I let people talk longer sometimes, and I cut them off before they're finished sometimes. In any case, this is a little story. Towards the end of doing TED one time, I had Billy Graham. I asked him to come in as a speaker. And the people in the audience I'd never announced speakers until the audience got there. And some of them were angry at me. There was a number of Jewish people in the audience, and a lot of people who didn't agree with his methods of preaching and things. And I'm a Jew. But I thought he was interesting I was interested in the structure of somebody influencing people. And what is that structure of conversation? I mean, that's what I was interested in. And I was a little terrified that he might ask people to march up on the stage and do something. But he gave a speech, and the speech was basically mirrors this conference in a way. He said how he was just taken aback by the extraordinary things he saw, things he couldn't dream that you could do. Now, 5 years ago, most of the things you showed this morning, you couldn't dream that you'd be doing today.
Yes.
He couldn't dream of the amazing things that were happening. He wouldn't believe that these students could perform 5 years ago, and yet you've developed a kind of permission giving for them to develop the way they're, by giving them the gift of GIS and helping it along. It didn't naturally happen. And so he said he wished he had come to a lot of these conferences. But the more he realized how phenomenal the ideas were, the more he realized there must be more. Now, that was a religious statement when he said it, but it applies here of how much further we can go.
Yes.
That there must be more. And in the students that came, in that idea of flipping developed land with undeveloped land, that's a huge idea. That's not a trivial idea. And it's a way of blinking and seeing something completely different. So, I'd like you to read this thing, please, for me as a favor. It doesn't take long. I'd like you to think about how you personally understand things. And be honest with yourself. Don't measure yourself by what teachers or parents or others tell you you have to understand things only this way, that this is the only way you can do things. You can be deaf and understand things. You can be blind and understand things. You can be just yourself and understand things. You don't even have to read to understand things. All those three things would be helpful. But what I'm saying is, what is the way in your heart, in your humanness, do you go about understanding things? I have some slides, and these I'm just going to read you. I'm not going to click them. I'm just going to have them stay on for a second and a half. So look fast, and just to give you a visual idea of what it's going to be.
And these are ways that different people understand
Different people. And I'm
things?
just going to tell you who the people are before they come on. Okay?
Okay.
The first one is a title slide, then some little bon mots. There's things called Wermanisms that people do.
Are they going to show the slides while you're talking?
Yeah,
They're
you can start.
supposed to be
Yeah.
showing the
They
slides
can.
now.
Okay, show the slides now. Frank Gehry, but this does not apply to the thing that's up there. I was going to say all these, and then they were going to do them.
Oh, that's okay, too.
Okay, but it's okay. So this is Frank Gehry, who's the most famous architect in the world. He doesn't do drawings, he just does models. And I have a deck of 4,700 models of one building. And this is a building that's built in New York. This is Milton Glaser doing a illustrative jazz exercise with Piero della Francesco, one of the greatest of the Renaissance painters. And then Monopoly, which is for 10-year-olds and for all of us. The first introduction we have to investment, to money, and to mapping, because it has maps of different cities. This is everything that people eat in those cities for a week, compared, by Peter Menzel and his wife. And in those photographs, you see that you couldn't write about it. The photos tell you everything. Their clothing, their economics, their health. And then this is all the speakers at one TED conference with drawings all over their face of things funny little things, as a way of doing a different kind of bio.
Kind of understanding people.
About how to understand people. And that was by David Blaine, the great no, that was by Stephen Sagmeister. David Blaine was the last picture. And this is the table of contents of the book, and there's the title of the book. He said I did a lot of books. The interesting thing about the books is every one is about a subject I didn't understand when I started the book. And the book is a journey from not knowing to knowing. So it's the opposite of the way we're taught to do things, that you get hired because you have an expertise.
Yes.
And I hire myself to do a book about something I'm really dumb about and want to learn about.
Yes.
And the book is the process of me learning about a subject. And I suggest that to some of you. The terror you go through doing that is also creates a product that somebody else can understand.
Yes. Thank you, Saul.
Okay.